Okay, this is the movie breakdown and review of The Strays, courtesy of a longtime subby, Jervis Horton. Sorry, Jervis Horton. This is for you. Thank you for the sponsor breakdown, so everybody can give thanks to Jervis for this breakdown. Wow, it's a UK film, Brits. You know how Brits do their horror; they do it a little different. So this is kind of a psychological thriller. Let's get right into it. So there's a lady named Cheryl. She is visibly upset. She's telling her sister on the phone that she's sick of it. She's like, I'm sick of it. They look at me like I'm worthless. And the accent. And so she's surrounded by black power pictures and books. There's an afro, there's a picture of a black woman with an afro. So it's all behind her. So when you look at it, when they pan it out, when you're looking in front of her, it's all the stuff behind her and all the books and all that stuff. Okay. So then there's a newspaper article on the table. It says black kids betrayed by school system. So they're giving you a backstory of what her field is. Okay. Cheryl went down to the housing office to get help with her rent. Her sister tells her that her and Michael need to stop living off credit cards. And there is an award for Cheryl Blake from 2003 from like the Department of Education or something like that. So she's in the education field, and we'll see how that plays out later on. Cheryl then tells her sister she wants more. She says, "I want more. Is it wrong to want more?" And then Cheryl says she's coming over at 5 p.m. Cheryl then packs her bags. She then looks at the leather. There's a leather belt on behind hung up on the behind her door. So looking at the way she looked at the leather belt, that implies some form of abuse. The belt is tied to abuse. She then leaves a note on the refrigerator. A man named Michael calls and leaves a message on the phone for her to pick up the phone. Rather angry, Cheryl then takes one last look in the mirror before she walks out the door. Fast forward years later. We don't know how many years, but in during the second act, we kind of get an idea. It's about 16, 17 years later. Okay. There's a lavish home. There's family pictures. There's Cheryl with a white man and some biracial kids in the family picture. Cheryl is now called Neve. She guilts her neighbor to donate 550 pounds for her charity event. Eve visits her daughter Mary at her job at the ice cream shop. Her daughter has her baby hairs in an S curl. Okay, so you see how the young ladies do their baby hairs now, they kind of curl it up. So she did that with two baby hairs into an S curl on the side, right here in the corners of her hairline. Okay, so then Neve meets with a friend at the coffee shop. Her friend tells Neve that she's one of them. She's drop dead gorgeous and hasn't aged a bit. Neve then wears a wig. There's a man watching her in the coffee shop. While driving her Range Rover home, she sees the very same man where she thought she saw in the coffee shop in her rear view mirror. And then she becomes distracted and then gets into a fender bender and hits another neighbor from behind. Okay. At home, Mary is in the tub looking at a pink afro pick. She's in the tub and she pulls up this pink afro pick. At dinner, Sebastian, the son, can't find his Lil Wayne poster. Biracial kids. She has biracial kids and she has a white husband. The white husband's name's Ian. The husband, Ian, talks about a black girl he hired. Her name is Abigail. Eve gives a slight pause. Sebastian says, "Well, we're black." And you're going to get into the dynamics of the family structure. Neve gives her husband a haircut. During sex, the husband tries to grab her hair and she grabs his hand away. She pushes her hand away. Later on that night, the husband says he prefers her natural hair, but she has this plethora of wigs, and she maintains these wigs to the nth degree. All right. Neve then opens a bag containing a race car. All right. The next day on the way to school, somebody draws two stick figures on Neve's Range Rover on her side mirrors. She asks kids, "Hey, did you guys draw this?" And they're like, "No." Neve is deputy headmistress at her kid's private school. So the education, she stuck with what she knew best, education. All right. So then she sees the new janitor they hired, and Sebastian talking. She becomes unnerved for whatever reason. During choir practice, Neve looks out to see Sebastian walking into the woods off campus. She follows him and catches him smoking a cigarette and then asks him who gave it to him. And then he says, nobody, I bought it on my own. Neve then her begins to scratch her hair. Her wig becomes itchy. Okay. Neve then nearly gets into another accident as she passes a black girl while driving to drop her daughter off at a friend's house with a smirk on her face and begins to violently scratch her head some more. Okay, so as she's driving by, she sees the black girl, and the black girl has a smirk on her face. Okay. Later on that night, Neve and the husband Ian and her neighbors discuss white flight. Neve wishes not to take part in the discussion. Neve then sees the very same man from the coffee shop in her rearview mirror outside of her living room window. She's like, "Do you guys see that? He's coming in. Do you see who's out there?" They all look, and nobody's there. Now, when I first initially watched this movie, I thought she was basically having a psychotic break because um, there's moments where they never acknowledged the other kids like in present time. So I thought for the majority of this movie, she was having a psychotic break. She was imagining these kids. Okay. So then later on, Mary walks into the house with cornrows. Her hair's braided. Okay. Sebastian is 3 hours late from his basketball game. Neve says there's someone out to bring violence against them because now she's getting paranoid. Sebastian walks in and says he was out and tells his dad to chill. Neve then grabs her shoe and then begins to beat Sebastian with it. Her husband is shocked. Okay. Later on that night, Neve begins to see roots spreading on her walls. Once again, this alludes to me she's having another psychotic break, which is why I thought she was imagining who she was seeing. Okay, I didn't know they were real people. I thought this was all a figment of her imagination. So then the roots start to spread in the kitchen, in the living room, and then the roots begin to come up from underneath her wig and wrap its roots around her hands. So the roots are tied to her blackness. The wig is she's been suppressing her natural self, her natural state, her natural being, and the roots basically are coming out. They can no longer be denied, right? You know, you bury a tree in concrete, somehow the roots will find its way up through the concrete in the most obscure places. So the roots cannot be denied. The time has come for those roots, her true self, to be revealed. The roots through the children. Okay, let's go. So then later on in the night, okay, all over the kitchen, there's footage, and then there's footage of a little girl's birthday party playing on the TV. The roots then begin to sprout from underneath her wig, wrap themselves around her hands, and then Neve wakes up. Once again, psychotic break, bad dream. The next day, she pops some Valium pills. Neve goes to the principal to file a report. The head janitor. She goes to the head janitor to file a report against the janitor that she believes gave Sebastian the cigarette with no proof. The janitor says, well, there's proper channels to go through or it'll look like discrimination. Neve then settles for just filing a formal warning. A fire alarm goes off. Sebastian is seen quickly scurrying out of the bathroom suspiciously. Neve goes in to confront the janitor. He accuses her of trying to get him fired. He then yells at her and says, "You tried to erase me and Dion." He says, "We thought you were dead." She says, "It's not me, it's somebody else," and then runs out the bathroom. Once again, I'm still thinking she's having a legit psychotic break. Okay. At dinner, Neve is disengaged. The next day at the charity event, Neve works the room, works the event, while the choir begins to sing. And you see the two figures, the man and the young lady, Carl and Abigail, are spotted looking at Neve. Neve begins to run towards them and then berates and yells at them and throws a glass of wine at them. Carl then calls her mother. Cut scene. So then we flash back to 5 days prior. 5 days before this event took place. Carl and Dion book a room for a week at a hotel. Carl then shows Dion Neve's family on the computer. Dion then asks, is that our family? These are the children that Neve, Cheryl, abandoned 16 years prior. Okay. Flashback to Carl watching Neve at the coffee shop from his angle. Abigail slash Dion applies for a job at Ian, the husband's insurance company. So that's the Abigail that her husband was talking about at dinner 5 days prior, the black girl. Abigail looks at Ian's family pictures. He calls them his tribe. She says, "Oh, that's funny, your tribe." Um, so then Ian tells Abigail that she reminds her of his wife. Dion says, "Same nose." Carl then applies for the janitor's position at the private school. Abigail slash Dion sees Mary and then begins to follow her, then strikes up a conversation and suggests that they hang out and exchange Facebook profiles. Back at the room, Carl slash Marvin, right, locates Neve's home address. Abigail slash Dion becomes impatient, waiting for Mary's friend acceptance. Mary reads Black Hair magazines. Mary's is all about embracing the black. So the biracial kids are on the black side. They want to embrace their blackness. They gravitate towards the black side of their lineage. Okay. While Carl goes through a photo album of birthday pictures, Carl then preps his tool bag. Marvin slash Carl then helps Sebastian deal with a bullying teammate. The moment when Neve sees Sebastian talking to Marvin, now it's from his point of view. So when what Neve didn't see it initially was Sebastian's teammate giving him, bullying him, and then Marvin kind of stepped in. So that's when Neve walks up and sees Sebastian talking to the new janitor from her angle, but now it's from his angle. Okay. Sebastian is talking to Marvin in the woods. Marvin offers Sebastian a cigarette, shows him how to take a pull, tells him this is man shit. And then Neve walks up. And then Marvin disappears into the woods. Marvin goes to Sebastian's basketball game later on that night. Mary and Abigail meet up. So Mary goes to Abigail's hotel room. The meet up, she braids Mary's hair. They have drinks. Abigail is the one that gave Mary the pink afro pick. Mary then invites them to her mom's charity event. Abigail slash Dion tells Mary she's the favorite and always got tucked in. She's asking her, like, "You're the favorite, huh? She always tucked you in, huh? At night and read you stories." And then Abigail gets irritated and says that, "You think it makes it all right?" It says she can't wait until it all comes out. And of course, Mary is like, "What are you talking about?" Right? So then later on that night on a rooftop, Sebastian tells Carl that his mom is black. This is why Sebastian came in late. He was hanging with Carl slash Marvin. Carl then says he never met his. Carl asks, what's she like? Sebastian says she thinks she's white and never talks about her past or anything black off limits. So there's an identity issue. And the kids see it. Okay? The biracial kids pick up on it. Okay? Carl then orders Sebastian to lean over the edge of the rooftop. Man shit, because they're smoking weed and he wants to test his metal. So then Sebastian does so and then urinates on himself. Carl then tells him he's passed the test. Time to take it to the next level. Sebastian then distracts his teammate on his way home. Carl then begins to smother him with a paper bag or with a plastic bag, and then tells him to stop picking on his bruv. Sebastian then stands over his teammate, and Carl is like, "Go ahead and do it. And then he bashes his teammate in the face with the basketball while he's being smothered with the plastic bag. Later on that night, Carl then returns back to the room. The room is trashed. Abby tells Carl she has everything. She has it all. Carl's upset that she brought Mary back to the room. Abigail slash Dion says she's tired of pretending. Carl suggests they should leave and just go back home and just forget about this whole idea. Abigail says they've been invited to the charity event because Carl's like, "We're not wanted here." She's like, "No, we've been invited to the event." So they decide to go. Abigail says they've been invited, and then she's never got to go to prom. They arrive at the charity event. Okay. Screaming irately. Okay, so then we cut to when Neve went up to the kids. So now from Abigail's point of view, she's screaming irately at Neve and says, it's all you. She wants to know why. She's asking her why. And then Carl has to literally drag Abigail away. Okay, now. This is when I realized the kids are real. She's not having a psychotic break as far as the kids. The kids are real. Everyone sees this. They all witness this. Okay. Later on that night, Cheryl comes clean to her family, said their father was abusive, and she just left. Mary then wants to know, well, why? Why, mom? Why? Neve says Ian, her husband, wouldn't have chosen to raise two black kids. He says, I don't know. You never know. And she's like, no, exactly. You proved my point. Neve then said she does what fathers always do. They leave. She said the two worlds don't mix, the black and white. Ian then asks, what do they want? He says she never recognized them. Neve says there's something she needs to do. The following day, Neve then meets Marvin and Dion at the diner, and they ask her what happened to her accent. She had it when she was black. Once again, gender. I mean, once again, what is it? Race identity issues. Okay. Neve calls herself a proud black woman. She then apologizes to the kids. Marvin says, "You never reached out, and that father wasn't perfect. Neither were you." Neve then had left the kids with the auntie, with her sister, and they said, "Well, she gave us away." Uh, and then Dion asks, "Well, why didn't you take us with you?" Neve says, "They're right." Dion's then asks, are we going to move in? When can we move in?" Neve offers them $20,000, 10K apiece to go back to London until they can find a way to work it out. Marvin says, "Thank you, Mom." She then grabbed Abigail's hand. That night, she's wearing her natural hair. So she took the wigs off. She's got curly mixed chick hair. Okay. She tells the family she was traumatized and never wanted the second child. She was forced. So she ran unplanned. She tells them they're gone now. Mary then asks, well, will we see them again? Neve says they need to heal first as a family. Ian agrees, but more convo will follow regarding the situation, but they have to stay together. They do a family hug. So it's still family first, their family first, okay? Later on that night, Marvin and Dion return back to the house. They pick the lock and sneak in. Carl then zip ties the sliding doors together. Carl then steals all of their phones and places them in a sink full of water and just lets the water run. Abigail then runs a bath upstairs in Mary's bathroom. Carl then puts on a bathrobe and begins to watch TV on the couch downstairs. Sebastian and Neve discover them downstairs. The water in the kitchen is still running. Neve confronts Carl. He says it's Abigail's birthday. They want to order Chinese food. Ian and Mary then come downstairs. Neve runs, but then Carl/Marvin catches her and tells her to chill out or see what happens. Ian, the husband, tries to apologize. He learns Neve's real name is Cheryl. So he's still learning more about his wife. More secrets are coming out. Carl then asks Ian if he lifts weights. Ian says no. Abigail wants to take a family photo. Abigail wants to be in the middle. She tells Mary it's non-negotiable because in the original family photo, it's Mary in the middle. Abigail wants Mary's spot, her position. Okay. Carl then tells Neve to let the water run and run. Carl then headbutts Ian. This is Carl/Marvin. And then Carl forces everybody to sing happy birthday to Abigail. Carl then asks them how many board games have they missed playing over the 16 years. Carl then forces everybody to play Scrabble. Carl then tells Ian Neve gave them $20,000 to go away. Once again, Ian is like, "What? She did what?" So he's just been hit left and right with lie after lie or revelation after revelation about Cheryl. Okay. So Neve says they're buying. Oh no. So Carl says now they're buying back Cheryl. Say you can have the money. We're just going to buy her back for 20K. We want our mom back. Okay. So then Cheryl then vomits on the floor, and then Cheryl suggests teams to introduce each other to play Scrabble. Okay. So then they're playing Scrabble, but Carl gets upset, Marvin, and then messes up the game. Marvin then takes Ian to the weight bench in the garage. Neve, Cheryl, then hears the motorbike of the delivery guy. The food's here. Carl then loads 285 on the bar. Ian is struggling to lift the weight. Cheryl gets up to turn the water off and says, and then she goes to the door to get the food. She grabs her wallet to give him a tip. And after asking if she knew him, the delivery guy, she's asking, "Do I know you?" He's like, "I don't know. I made a delivery here before." Okay, then she closes the door and says, "I'll be right back." She gives everybody the food and she goes upstairs to go get her wallet to give him a tip. Ian can be heard yelling while struggling to lift more weights. Cheryl then goes upstairs to get her purse. Ian is now attempting to lift 325 because initially when Marvin put the weight on the bar is about 285 from what I could count. So now it's up to 325. That's a lot of weight. And so Carl then leaves Ian to struggle. He won't spot him. He's letting him struggle. Carl then tells Ian, "You ain't walking away that easy. You made your bed with us. We're the same now." And then the bar falls on Ian's neck, killing him because he can't handle this too much weight. He can't handle it. And Carl won't spot him. 325. 325 is a lot of weight. All right. So then Cheryl returns downstairs with a wallet and then tells the kids she's sorry for how everything turned out and that one day she hopes they can forgive her. But then she says, "Let me tip the man so that we can get back to eating and discuss how to move forward." And then Neve is shown walking to the door with a wallet and a red jacket. She takes one final look in the mirror, so we already know what's going to happen. And then she walks out the door. Later on, Carl or Marvin returns and then asks, "Where's Mom?" As you can hear the motorbike speed away in the background. And then the four of the kids just look at the door, and and then Marvin and Dion instantly recognize she left again, while the biracial kids are like, they're in disbelief that she left. This woman left again. All the kids, end scene, credits roll. Holy cow! This was a crazy, crazy movie. Once again, this was sponsored by Jervis Horton. Shout out to Jervis for the movie review sponsor. Those Brits, man, crazy Brits. It's on Netflix. It's a nice little watch. I say watch it because, like I said, halfway through the movie, I thought she was having a psychotic break. I thought she was imagining the kids, but come to find out, the kids were real, and the breaks were her, suppressing her old life, and the old life came back to haunt her. And as much as you suppress something, it always rises to the top. All right. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoy. Y'all have a good one. Peace.